Today, I would like to talk to you about top API and digital transformation trends. I'm not maybe fully qualified to do this type of talk because I personally hate to do all this kind of predictions as a kind of like a software engineer and developer sits inside me thinking, no, I cannot do this type of stuff because it's better under promise than over deliver. But hey, it's always interesting to see how the things in industry will unfold given our interesting times. Also, in some cases, those trends and those predictions that may be self-fulfilling prophecies, right? So since I work in the field of cloud connectivity and API and some of the cloud native systems, some of the things that I will be talking to you today are somehow related to the things that I'm working on. So that's kind of the best you can have as a disclaimer here. I work as a principal developer advocate here at Conk, and in this case, I'm meeting with developers and talking about their challenges and what they like to do and how we can help them from perspective of the vendor. That shit, I think I just lost the power. Okay. And
don't worry, I think it's coming back. Looks like it might be coming back.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, Victor.
Okay, so you can hear me. I was wondering if my internet is still up because like my everything just went down very, very badly.
Yes, we can just see the profile page, slide 2 of 13. It says, and also presenter notes, but nothing actually on the screen about presenter notes, but just on the right hand side.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see if I can fix that real quick. Those things are happening, but it's not very nice to when they happen in the middle of your presentation, right?
I know, don't worry. I think yeah, we're all quite experienced now, 2 years in with COVID. I think these things happen at home. There was a time where I had to do it.
All right, so yep, here we go. We will brand the right slide. Okay, so that was unprepared, and I will not gonna waste my time to try to fix the camera right now. So since you hear me and you can see the slides, that's most important thing to have. The problem is with with the outages that they happen, and one of the things that we saw in 2021, there's a lot of outages happened in cloud providers, and a lot of outages happened with different systems and different businesses. And the multi-cloud approach is the next big thing, or next best thing that you might have for your application resiliency. The things around how to keep going when one of the data center will go down was a thing for a while for many businesses, and many businesses have the disaster recovery plans for their systems. Though the cloud providers themselves went down. We saw some of the outages from Google last year. We see some outages from Amazon this year. So multi-cloud approach for application delivery is the thing that many businesses start applying. And it's not only from perspective of disaster recovery, but also from perspective of economy. The way how the companies are dealing with the pain for resources, and they might use some of the different the mix and match different technologies that are available in different cloud providers and see which would be more economically efficient for them. So it's not only about disaster recovery anymore, but also from perspective of cloud economy and how much time and how much money we spend on these tools. However, there's another trend that we start seeing in 2021, and this trend also will continue to be a thing. Is that many organizations, they actually developed their cloud native muscle, and they learn the tools and they learn approach of cloud-based DevOps, and they would like to replicate the same experience for some of the local teams in the private clouds with the existing data centers or some of the cloud. However, the companies who developed, like I said, their cloud native culture, they adopted this cloud native culture, and now they moving into this setting of, okay, so how we can replicate this and make it as a either private cloud, either based on our own data centers or in data centers that we can also use in the cloud, but we'll make them a private cloud. So private clouds also still a thing, and to the sentiment that I shared in the very on the first slide, where multi-cloud approach and private cloud approach is also a still going strong. Bank of America, for example, is one of the significant examples of how the company can use a private cloud to lower their IT costs, and we expect like many other large companies will follow the charge. Now, in a similar sentiment that we talking about the cloud economy and how we would like to spend less on the cloud, is many organizations start adopting the architectures for running their workloads. So if you're not a developer, or if you're not like interested in all these kind of like different types of computers, many people start adopting these small computers called Raspberry Pi for running some of the enthusiastic tasks at home automation and running things to like IoT type of use cases. The ARM computers, they becoming more and more powerful, and now comparable in performance with some of the top of the line, the Intel computers. So the last year, Apple released their M1 processors called Apple Silicon, which based on the ARM architecture, and this revolution is also can be compared with the things what the Apple did for revolutionizing the iPhones. And but on the cloud side of things, the providers like Amazon and even like Oracle Cloud, they start offering the special type of instances based on the ARM architecture that allows you to pay less. So the Graviton instances in Amazon allow you to run the ARM workloads, and because they require like less power, less electricity consumption, they might be cheaper. So that's not for enthusiasts anymore. And we saw some of the examples from the companies who use this in production. So there was later in 2021, the company named Honeycomb, which is a cloud observability company. They were talking about their use case of moving their event streaming platform into ARM architecture and saving good bucks there. So that's a trend that was set in 2021, and I'm pretty sure that we will see more and more cloud providers providing the ARM instances for masses. So not the technology is great, and all the things that we like to talk, it's all about technology, but many times we forget about people. And there's always a challenge on growing the businesses by hiring some of the best talented people. The COVID situation changed the hiring situation a lot in terms of like people are willing to be. You don't need to be physically there where your employer now, so you can work from home from anywhere in the world, and you can get whatever job you want because many businesses are open to do remote stuff. But what about the training people and so they can learn new skills and things like that. So the enterprises start adopting the technologies and the tools for low code and no code stuff. So in this case, the tools will allow to for developers to be more productive rather than kind of like spending years in learning coding and learning how to do certain things. So the simplifications of the tools and providing the good user experience and developer experience, it's also a big thing that started happening for the last couple of years while we were on the lockdowns and things like that. And this is important because businesses are going into distributed mode, and based on Conway laws that essentially says your information system structure will mimic your organizational structure. And if your organization is distributed in nature, so you will be easily, migrating to microservices world and distributed systems world, rather than if you kind of like your business processes are the monolithical and they are siloed around like certain like data sources. So your business will business systems will also follow the same structure. So that's another trend that we see, that low code and no code systems are becoming like more popular for spending less time for training the talent to achieve some of the business tasks. And on the similar kind of like on similar take on this, the composable business, what we call it, is essentially how you transform your organization in order to, this organization will fit with some of the way how these systems develop, like microservices and all this like a digital transformation, agility, all these kind of things are not, it's not nice to have anymore. Companies, if you want to do like successful global business, need to be distributed, and information systems also need to be distributed. And again, returning to the first couple of slides when I'm talking about the multi-cloud solution and the multi geo-distributed systems, that's the thing that is happening, and it will continue growing strong in 2022. Now, if I will continue talk a little bit about technology, Kubernetes is the probably de facto standard for people moving their workloads there. For container orchestration, for application orchestration, that's the thing that we have. However, Kubernetes never was a final destination. Kubernetes always was a journey, and it's a platform for building platforms. If you are building a business around like a SaaS offering, most likely you're using the Kubernetes to run your infrastructure and support the growth of your business by allowing your developers to do more stuff with the Kubernetes. And what we will see, what we saw previously, right now there's multiple different Kubernetes distributions that are available, and the people can use them. And its situation very much reminds situation with the Linux distributions, like maybe 20 years ago. There was plenty of different Linux distributions, and there was different distinct features, and like you can choose whatever you want to run based on your requirements to security, your requirements for manageability and observability, and all those kind of things. Same stuff is happening with Kubernetes. And the management of Kubernetes, as I said, Kubernetes never was a destination. It's a journey, it's a platform, but we need better tools in order to Kubernetes cluster to thrive. Establishment of Kubernetes as a platform for developers and efficient management of enterprise workloads. It's not the question. Also, like variety of Kubernetes clusters also increases, and with this kind of like a number of different options, complexity only growing. To the previous point, to the previous slide, the management tools important, tools that allow to install and build kind of like a bigger system with Kubernetes also, it's also important. 2022 will be a pivotal year for most of the organization to adopt tools like Kubernetes and deliver application architectures to their customers via Kubernetes. Is also, we're going to see this a lot in 2022. It's not anymore like, okay, we're going to innovate or we lost everything. You have to innovate, and you have to use this, and you have to move the fast with all these things that happen in the world. So many organizations use the monolithical centralized load balancer approach for years. When you deploy your application that exposes any type of API, you must have centralized load balancer at some point. Like every time you deploy your application, there's something that would be put in front. Either it's to solve some of the challenges with authorization, notification, or maybe securing the traffic, or simply providing the load balancing capabilities in order to if one of the nodes go down, so the load balancer will switch the traffic to another node and things like that. But this kind of like a de facto, you have to have a centralized load balancer de facto thing. It's also going down in usage because of the all this like a traditional load balancers that the people using, the lack of the modern features and capabilities for cloud native management. That things that I also mentioned when we talk about the Kubernetes, and growing pattern of kind of like deploying applications and exposing those applications. What we see is the service mesh pattern. So the more applications, more microservices deployed within our organization, they need to have some of the common management pattern, and the many deployments are employing a service meshes these days, which is becoming a kind of like a standard as well. And the concept known as zero LB, that kind of like a demise and replaces a traditional centralized load balancing with the client-based load balancer based on the service mesh, and how the service mesh allows to the balance traffic for your application. So we see that service mesh will take over of this monolithic centralized load balancing within the next couple of years. So look for service mesh and more products of the service mesh, but as a pattern as well, is going to be a thing. So once we start growing the application, the number of applications that will work against each other and communicate against each other, we need to have some of the standard policies to enforce different traffic rules, and open policy agent, and it's one of the CNCF projects that exist in order to provide the standard way to define and codify the policies for traffic management. It is becoming more and more used within developers, and enterprises also recognize the value of this pattern together with the service mesh. And with the service mesh allows to enable this open policy agent more efficiently for many applications. So service mesh will serve as a transport layer, but open policy agent will serve as your kind of like a higher level policy engine for your applications. And to the point that the previous speaker also did, Eric, he talked about the API development and API deployment, and we see this as API development process is becoming more standardized, and there's a kind of like a clear process how you can go from the point where you're designing things to the point where you're testing the things, where you're developing actual applications for those APIs, and how you would move those APIs to production. So the concept of API ops, like very similar to thing that we have under like a GitOps, for example. With GitOps, we have a one source of truth that would be built on top around the version control system. Here is also a very similar thing. We have this kind of API defined as an open API spec. Based on this, we can provide a generation of the artifacts that would be used by developer, like a testing artifacts, how our contract will be used between application consumers or API consumers, how these things will be turned into actual code. Can we mock this to provide a kind of some sort of agility for other teams? We have a backend team and we have a front-end team. Backend team is not ready to ship the actual implementation, but how we can provide a mock that our front-end team will start working on their front-end side of things, and after that they will just like simply merge the things together. So all these things that I just described here are you can find this in the concept of API ops, and how you can build API management lifecycle using the how you will maintain those API afterwards, how you get a feedback, and how you would spread adoption of the certain APIs using the API management platforms. All these things are not becoming a kind of like a theory and the things that we just like talking in a conferences as a particular kind of a use case. We see many people start adopting this approach. Many customers of ours start adopting this approach with API ops, and we as a vendor of the tools, we're providing tools to support this application lifecycle for API ops. And in my last slide, I want to say thank you to my colleagues at Konk, Marco and Reza, who helped to kind of like shape these ideas. And a friend of mine, Sergey Egorov from the Atomic Jar, helped to kind of like steal some ideas from his like a tooling inspirational talk.